Now this pre-ride check that we're going to do is really, it's an important part of motorcycling, not only from a safety point of view, but just enjoying your bike, because when all these things are done properly, you get the best out of your motorcycle. Sometimes it's easier with an assistant to hold the bike up while we set the width on the stand. And there we go. Make sure that both claws are engaged in the bobbins, and the main thing is to keep that part away from the swing arm, because it will scratch the swing arm. Now pushing down on the rear stand and holding onto the bike, lift it up as so. Now the bike's on the stand, it's a lot easier to check all the bits and pieces we need to. The first thing we're going to do is check the condition of the tyres. Now this front tyre is in quite good condition. There's plenty of tread depth. It's not scalloped in any way. Now the condition of this tyre, it's got plenty of tread on the edges. When it comes to the middle, as you see there, that's quite low. That's to the point of being almost a slick type. Now that could be quite dangerous on a wet surface, and actually could just about throw you off the bike if you weren't careful. So, and these are the things that we have to check each week, because the person that rides this bike may not know that that tyre is in that condition if they don't look at it regularly, and therefore could do some damage to their bike and themselves. We'll now show you how to correctly check the air pressure on a tyre. Just for the record, this tyre will be replaced before the bike gets ridden again, but we'll just show you how to do that anyway. Now first you need a really good quality tyre gauge. There's all sorts of tyre gauges out there. Just buy a good quality one that's accurate. This is one we use on our race car actually, but it's quite a good type. That's placed onto the valve, you press down hard, and you simply read where the needle says the correct amount of pressure, and that's showing 38 pound, which is not bad for this particular bike. It depends on the bike and the rider and the conditions to what pressure you run. Always look at your handbook or check with your manufacturer to make sure that the correct pressures for your motorcycle. The front pressure is a little harder to get to sometimes, mainly because they run small wheels on bikes and big discs, but it can be done. That's why I prefer a type of gauge with this particular hose on it rather than a standard gauge without that. They're a little harder to get at. Now the other thing I've noticed on this bike is there was no valve cap. That's not a good thing, because it's called a dust cap for a reason. It stops dust and dirt and rubbish getting in there, and if you get some stuff in there it can hold the valve open and then let the air out of the tyre, which is not good. So same thing, this is why I like the hose. Goes in there nice and easy, and then we read that, and that says 35, I'm pretty sure that is, with my eyes, I'm getting old. But 35, yep, that's possibly a little low. I would probably run this about 36. It's only a pound, so it's not too bad. The next thing is to check the chain tension. That's not bad, possibly a little bit loose. I always check the chain in a couple of different points in case it's got a tight or a loose spot in it. If you get away with that, I'd probably tighten that just a little bit. There's a loose spot there. Okay. Now checking the oil on a motorcycle is really important before you ride it. If you run a bike with too low oil level, it'll really damage the motor.